I'd like to discuss today the five types of social power by Dr. Jeremy Nicholson from Psychology Today. Five or six types of social power are reward power, coercive power, legitimate power, expert power, referent power, and informational power. To be specific, reward power is the ability to offer positive incentives and outcomes. Coercive power is the capacity to threaten or punish with undesirable consequences. Legitimate power is the authority to compel obedience provided by certain roles, such as supervisor or government official. Expert power is the clout from the perception that the individual has superior knowledge or skill in a particular area. The referent power is the influence arising from being a role model that others want to follow and emulate. Informational power is the capability, rather, to persuade by providing information. The powers within themselves, some are negative, some are positive, depends on how the leader decides to use them. We find these examples in our society today, in politics, in different facets of leadership, and as I said before, how the person decides to use them makes them negative or positive. Of course, coercive power and or coercive power within itself is a negative. There's no positive spin on coercive power because it is the capacity to threaten or punish with undesirable consequences. You will see this kind of power exhibited in dictatorships in which the citizens are not allowed to vote. Someone else will vote for them. They don't have any ability to be a part of the power structure. The person who first, or persons who first discussed the basis of power were French and Raven in 1959, and these have stood the test of time. These definitions are still being used today. Although additions and distinctions have been made throughout the years, for our purposes, the following can be considered as standards for power. There are also two categories of power that Raven and Schwarzwald and Kolowowski also categorize as two distinct styles. One is hard style of power, which is part of the reward coercive and legitimate. And the second style of power is the soft style of power, which is the expert, referent, and informational. Taken together, we can begin to see the two main approaches to power and influence. A harder approach that utilizes incentives and pressures, and a softer approach that relies on internal motivations and personal decision making. This is according to Dr. Jeremy Nicholson of Psychology Today. You will see the hard style of power as a note with the dictatorships, and you will see a soft style of power within more of a democracy, and you will see a softer style of power within organizations and also instructive types of settings as academics, in, as example, an academic setting. So within themselves, the hard and soft style are utilized uh, interchangeably with good leaders and bad leaders. Uh, you would have to say that the hard style is normally found within bad leaders and bad leadership, which brings us to a type of leadership and philosophy called the alpha dog leadership, brand of leadership. The alpha dog within itself is not totally negative if it's used in the right manner, if it's used with ethics, if it's utilized with the proper information and honesty and integrity. Casulo defines the alpha dog mentality or leadership style as exemplifying the following traits: failure to show a reflective nature and admit responsibility instead of blaming others, or is most concerned with individual or political power and does not think about the greater good. The alpha dog concept or type of power does not accept and admit errors and is too eager to quote statistics and facts. An alpha dog leader can be a positive leader, as I said before, if they show integrity and ethics. For example, an alpha dog leader may be a negative in a negative sense, exemplified if a person has a meeting with a team or coworkers or lower level employees and they decide to fabricate statistics that might work in their favor in order to manipulate the employees to do something that they want them to do. But if the alpha dog is confident and assertive, that's a positive way in which the alpha dog can exemplify the good traits of the alpha dog. The alpha dog may lift up the employees and encourage them and say, for today, in this meeting, here are the statistics that I've come up with that shows your positive productivity. I have this percentage and that percentage, and this is in your favor. I would like you to keep up the good work. But if the alpha dog says to them, your productivity is low, you're low in percentages, you haven't met the quotas, you are doing 60% correct work instead of 100% correct work. But the employee has a knowledge that this is not true. So they may be fabricating statistics in order to motivate the employee to give more productivity, but not really offering encouragement. So these are the two ways in which that can be exemplified. Alpha dog personalities are found within many different organizations and many different facets of society. The alpha dog may cause an employee to suffer a great deal of stress on the job, maybe even deciding to leave the job. An alpha dog personality may also decide to bring down the morale of the employees because they may have a bad personality trait or some type of disorder in which they are too overcritical of the employee and the constructive criticism is not present. If you have an alpha dog personality as your employer, you may first try communicating with them and letting them know that this style of leadership is not productive for you. If you cannot rationalize or come to a rational point of view with the alpha dog personality, you may want to seek employment with another organization. And sometimes this is the case when there is an employee who is finding themselves coming to an impasse with an alpha dog personality trait. So what we have covered today is or are the 5 types of social power, which are reward power, coercive power, legitimate power, and expert power, referent power, and informational power. We highlighted the fact that the only negative power within the structure of the 5 types of social power is the coercive power, which you find in dictatorships or non-democratic settings. And we noted that the coercive power is the capacity to threaten or punish with undesirable consequences. We found that the alpha dog personality was necessary to be discussed in that it is a negative and positive power, which can exemplify these traits of social power. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to click it off. I done 10 minutes. I wanted to click it off. No, I'm trying to. I don't know how to do it. Oh.